Welcome everyone, I hope you're all well. Today's video covers so much that your head will be spinning by the end of it. The last clip especially is wild because we dive into a sort of brief history of the inventor of a device that can allegedly heal the body using only frequencies. Totally wild. So let's buckle up and go and see what the simulation has been up to. Vote we all open source research and develop rifle machine technology so it cannot be suppressed. Everything is frequency. Literally everything. So this tech makes sense. Unfortunately, the disease mentioned in this video makes way too much money for it to ever be totally cured, only treated. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, then please drop a like on the video and hit that sub button. It really helps me out. But for now, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.